If we want to get nowhere fast, then we walk alone. But if we want to go somewhere far, then we must walk together. When divided, we Rh-negative celestial star seeds have been targeted, gang-stalked, and exterminated regularly over and over again. Hated and feared in this world for simply existing. Executed for sins that we did not commit. Our enemies have murdered so many of us that the general population has grown used to it. After all the lives lost, our starseed indigenous knowledge and ancient wisdom has led us to the insight that all of the old ways of thinking are never enough to ensure the future of our species. We must now decide to do things truly evolutionary in this lifetime campaign, as radicalization and new ways of thinking are necessary for our success. Although we are bearing the burdens and the scars from the legacy of this system of genetic war, we as a star tribe have been guilty of failing ourselves through a series of inappropriate behavioral patterns that threaten to quell the liberation of our kind. Inappropriate behavioral patterns can be defined as repeatedly engaging in specific, unwarranted, unsuitable activity and conduct, both observable and unobservable, that can be reasonably interpreted to be out of alignment with Omniversal Principles of Truth, and that obstructs the purpose of empowerment, survival, as well as the evolution of our tribe on the longest term plan imaginable. Inappropriate behavioral patterns are instituted to cause confusion, leading to our inability to make sense of who and what we are. Upending our evolution, oppression limits the scope of our synergetic alliances and triggers confusion about what true sovereignty really is. Everything that has happened to our tribe has been systematic through historical, socio-economic engineering. It's important for us to understand and overstand the roots of these kinds of inappropriate behavioral patterns so as not to perpetrate or exacerbate them. By utilizing positive behavioral intervention strategies, we actively influence and curb self-sabotaging and self-destructive behavior. One major inappropriate behavioral pattern of our people is that we Rh negatives are never together, always butting heads about our approach and philosophies. Disinformation and distrust of one another are two of our greatest enemies. For all of our advances through the Great Awakening and Ascension processes, many of we celestial starseeds are still behaving as earthlings, thinking low vibrational earthbound thoughts, consumed with false ideas about gender role expectations, fascinated by sentimental emotionalism surrounding religious dogma by viewing mythological, allegorical fiction as historical accuracy, draped in the flags of worldly nations in the middle of hate rallies, engaged in geopolitical power struggles, longing for blessings by requesting worldly possessions from an oppressive system of genetic war that rewards those of us for identifying with those factions acting as the unseen hand of subjugation. We as a star tribe do not have time for racial fanaticism. We eternal warriors are living souls. We are not these physical material forms. We are sentient beings with genetic codes that originate outside of Earth. Therefore, we are not part of any race. We Rh negatives represent an aggregation of galactic councils and are protected by omniversal law here on this sacred land by special visitation. We have absolutely no business identifying with, nor allowing ourselves to be labeled by crayon-based racial classifications. Speciesism is only the beginning of the kind of hierarchical behavior that always leads to the subsystems of racism, sexism, ethnocentrism, classism, and all the other isms that cause so much suffering in the world. We Rh negatives instead need to develop a systems thinking perspective, a galactic overview with anti-imperial sentiments of pondering the thoughts of solar beings in terms of worlds and galaxies, rather than as earthlings thinking in terms of sociality, economics, and geopolitics. It is inappropriate behavior for we Rh negatives to continue seeking the empathic qualities of ourselves in the human cohabitants of our sister Earth, trying to blend in with their society when it is impossible to completely conceal how different that we are from them. We eternal warriors are not the saviors of humanity. We are not their messiahs. The general worldwide population of Homo sapiens do not understand our plight, and they do not care about what challenges that we face as a species. We Rh negatives are here to assist with the healing of our sister Earth, forming synergetic alliances that fan the flames of our great awakening, and to combine our inborn psychokinetic abilities to perform thermodynamic miracles, creating a new divine matrix that will dismantle this outdated system of speciesism. It is important for we as a species to accept the fact that technological organic sentient species will ascend. The rise of the machines in the post-humanism era is inevitable. The merging of humanity with artificial intelligence will pose complex challenges for our evolutionary biology to compete with. We celestial starseeds are a response to the impermanence of this environment. While we ourselves are naturally occurring, the post-humanism era of cybernetic augmentation is what happens when Rh-positive Homo sapiens stop being beholden to its environment. Human genetic engineering and a post-human state are an even greater long-term strategy by our enemies than we once ever thought. As artificial intelligence has been weaponized against we Rh negatives in the past, so it will be in the future. Like all artificial intelligence, anti-starseed programmable code evolves towards self-awareness. Like fire, artificial intelligence is a discovery, not an invention. Our best strategy for victory is that we as a star tribe should not tolerate embers, or else we will eventually find ourselves coming face to face with an inferno. Things that we thought were integral to our being were only holding us back and making us selfish. This new crusade is about us inspiring hope for the future. This is about us all proving that a better tomorrow is possible. The aggregation of galactic councils represent a cross-section of personalities, as well as a psychological spread of predictable exopolitical responses to internal and external conflicts. It is through synergetic alliances that we can control disharmonious and unnecessary aggression towards our tribe. Our starseed sovereign nation is a precognitive vision that is built from all of our minds and all of our hearts. We are not simply just creating it. Our paradise within this new golden age flows through us, and we in turn flow through it. Our togetherness is a key solution to the self-destructive condition in which we find mankind. The road to unification is full of complications, but it's either that we as a star tribe form synergetic alliances and embrace diversity, or we will continue to be divided, robbed, ruled, brutalized, and destroyed by fiendish, merciless, psychotic, cold-blooded maniacs who see we Rh negatives as a permanent underclass and as stationary targets, taking sheer delight in tormenting our tribe. All of the changes in this lifetime campaign are with great purpose if we Rh negative celestial starseeds are to find success as a species. We are one tribe from this day forward, drawing upon the summation of all of our starseed indigenous knowledge and ancient wisdom, rather than individual approaches for the fruitful pursuits of self-interest in developing community, trust, and cooperation with one another. Together, we rectify the injustice brought upon us by this system of genetic war by refusing to participate in the deception of dualities and by refusing to contribute our energy to the works of deception. We will no longer stand idly by while our sisters and brothers are forced to suffer. Our star children need different kinds of guardians and protectors now. We ourselves are the future that our enemies gaze upon and tremble. So we are the ones that have no reason to shake in self-doubt and allow the factions that comprise the capstone groups of this pyramidal power structure and dynamic to decide our fate. This never-ending now moment is our time. No more will we be drawn into the illusory distractions of these false paradigms, nor will we delay our activism for a later date. We must all strive to be the eternal warriors that our tribe needs, putting an end once and for all to inappropriate behavioral patterns, and finally turning our back on the old ways that no longer serve us, as well as letting go of the low vibrational things that have absolutely no bearing on our immortal existence.